Hello Twilights, welcome or welcome back to Twilight Corner. So in today's video, I'm going to be explaining you the chapter 3, that is the little girl of Beehive for class 9 NCERT English. So before we start, make sure to like this video, subscribe to Twilight Corner and also share this video with your friends so that they can also learn. So without any further delay, let's start. Chapter 3, the little girl. Before you read, do you feel you know your parents much better now than when you were much younger? So, when you talk about your parents, right, do you feel like when you were younger you couldn't understand them much better, like you couldn't understand them better, but now once you're much older, you can understand your parents more better and you can just have a clear understanding of what they're trying to do and just understand them properly. Perhaps you now understand the reasons for some of their actions that used to upset you earlier. So let's take an example to understand this better. For example, your parent is stressed, right? And they may take out the anger on you. When you were younger, or for no reason, they might scold you. So you may get upset, right? But now, once you're older, you understand, right? They have anxiety a little, they're stressed out, so they can't manage it all in their head. So you understand them much better. So that would be one case. Now let's continue. The story is about a little girl whose feelings for her father change from fear to understanding. Will probably find an echo in every home. So this story is about a little girl, right? And she was really scared of her father, but this feeling changes from fear to understanding, and we'll understand this in this chapter. And you will find this chapter really relatable, and yeah. So that's all which is given here. Let's continue. To the little girl, he was a figure to be feared and avoided. So over here, this little girl, she is really scared of her father, right? And over here, her father is actually a figure to be scared and avoided for her, right? And over here, when we talk about to be feared and avoided, it means that she's really scared of her father. So that is what is given here in this line. Let's continue. Every morning before going to work, he would come into her room and give her a casual kiss. So whenever he'll go to work every morning, right, he would come into her room and just greet her and give her a casual kiss. To which she responded with goodbye, father. So she responded her father by saying goodbye, father. See you, okay. And oh, there was a glad sense of relief when she heard the noise of the carriage growing fainter and fainter down the long road. So over here, every morning, her father would go for work, right? And he would go into a carriage. So obviously, the carriage is moving and moving and moving. So obviously, when it's moving, the sound of the carriage would actually go fainter. It won't be heard. So it would be actually a sound of relief for her. And the carriage would be going on a long road. So yeah. Now let's continue. In the evening, when he came home, she stood near the staircase and heard his loud voice in the hall. Bring my tea into the drawing room. Hasn't the paper come yet? Mother, go and see if my paper's out there and bring me my slippers. Okay, so over here, the father, when he would come from his office or when he would come from his work, right, he would usually come down and then he would come and sit on the sofa and just, chill out. And then when he would come home, he would actually, the little girl, she would come down and then she stood near the staircase and then she will hear her father's sound, loud voice, which is he would say that please bring my tea into the drawing room, and he would ask whether the newspapers have come yet or not, and please go check whether my newspapers are out there, and also please bring me my slippers. So he would tell this to her mother, Kezia's mother. So over here the little girl's name is revealed, which is Kezia. Kezia, mother would call to her. So her mother would tell her name. If you're a good girl, you can come down and take your take off your father's boots. So her mother would actually call on Kezia, and she would ask her and tell her that, if you're a good girl, please come downstairs and, take off your father's boots. Slowly, the little girl would slip down the stairs, more slowly still across the hall, and push open the drawing room door. So the little girl would be really terrified to go to her father, right? So she'll go slowly downstairs, and then she'll open the drawing room door. By that time, he had his spectacles on and looked at her over them in a way that was terrifying to the little girl. So by the time she was coming downstairs, her father actually had his spectacles on, right? So he would look at her, and then she would find it really terrifying. Well, Kezia, hurry up and pull off these boots and take them outside. So her father would tell her, please come downstairs and hurry up and take off these boots. And then he would also ask her, have you been a good girl today? So she would actually really stutter while telling that, don't know, father. So yeah, so that's with the first page. Let's continue. You don't know. If you stutter like that, mother will have to take you to the doctor. So her father was mimicking her and telling that, you don't know. If you stutter like this, your mother will actually have to take you to the doctor. But she actually never stuttered with other people around her. So that is what is given. She never stuttered with other people, had quite given it up. So she would actually really, she wouldn't stutter around any other person. But if she would stop doing it, right? But only with father, because then she was trying so hard to say the words properly. So whenever her father would be around, she couldn't speak clearly. So she was really trying super hard to actually get the words properly out of her mouth, and she would really speak fluently, sorry. So yeah. What's the matter? What are you looking? What are you what are you looking so wretched about? Okay. So her father would ask her, why, what's the matter? Why are you so unhappy, right? Why are you so wretched? So mother, I wish you taught this child not to appear on the brink of suicide. So, her father would tell her mother that, I wish you would teach this child and raise this child actually not to commit like a suicide or something, about to commit like a suicide, not to appear like that, right? And then her mother would tell Kezia, here Kezia, carry my teacup back to the table carefully. So she would demand her to take her teacup upstairs, right, carefully. So he was so big, his hands and his neck, especially his mouth when he yawned. So whenever if someone yawns, actually, they would have their mouth open, and his and their neck would be seen, right? But for Casey over here, her father's hands were really big for her, and then when he yawned, actually, it would be really big, right? So thinking about him alone was like thinking about a giant. So when she was thinking about her father only, she would think like she's thinking about a giant, right? On Sunday afternoons, grandmother sent her down to the drawing room to have a nice talk with her father and mother. So obviously, when it was a Sunday afternoons, right, her grandmother sent Kezia downstairs to actually have a nice talk with her father and mother and have a little chat or something like that. So yeah. But the little girl always found her mother reading and father stretched out on the sofa. So obviously when she came downstairs, it's obviously a Sunday afternoon. So over here her mother will be reading, and her father would be sleeping soundly and snoring. And then he would be stretching out on the sofa, aramse sleeping. And then he would also be having the cushions, right? He would be putting his feet on the one of the best cushions. So I'll just read that out for you. His handkerchief on his face, so he'll be also having his handkerchief on his face, his feet on one of the best cushions, sleeping soundly and snoring. Okay, so he was actually sleeping very peacefully. So over here, this is a picture which is given, demonstrated here to show the whole scenario. And then the little girl always found her mother reading right here, and then her father always on the sofa will be stretched out, and then he will be sleeping soundly, right? And then the little girl over here is looking at this whole scenario, sorry. Okay, so let's continue. She sat on a stool, gravely watched him until he woke up and stretched, and asked the time, then looked at her. So she would actually be sitting on a stool, and she'll be just staring at her father, right? And then unless he woke up and then stretched around a little, and then he would also ask her the time, and then he also looked at her. So don't stare so Kezia, you look like a little brown. Also, her father is telling her, don't stare at me, Kezia, you look like a little brown owl, right? So one day when she was kept indoors with a cold, her grandmother told her that her father's birthday was next week and suggested she would make him a pin cushion for a birthday gift out of a beautiful piece of yellow silk. Okay, so one day, Kezia had a cold, so she was kept indoors. So she was ill, okay, and then her grandmother told her that, it's your father's birthday next week. So why don't you make him a nice little gift? You can make him a pin cushion out of yellow silk. So that would be really nice and sweet of you, right? Laboriously, with a double cotton, the little girl stitched three sides, but what to fill it up with? So when she was actually making the cushion with yellow silk, right, she did, yeah. So when she was making up the cushion, right, she actually stitched up three sides, and then she would fill something, right? She would fill up cotton, double cotton actually, inside, but she didn't do that. So the fourth side was open. That was her question. She wanted to ask what to fill it with, but her grandmother was outside in the garden, and she wandered into her mother's bedroom to look for scraps. On the bed table, she discovered huh, a great many sheets of fine paper, gathered them up, tore them into tiny pieces, and stuffed her case and sewed up the fourth side. So what she did was, her question was that to what to fill this cushion that she made, what should she fill it up with. So she stitched up three sides, and then she went into her mom's bedroom. She was wandering around to find some good scraps or something like that. Scraps in the sense meaning that, small pieces of cloth or paper, something like that, which are not really needed. So when she was looking around for scraps, so she found a good old fine sheets of paper on the bedside table, and then she gathered them, right? She took them in a pile, and then she tore them into tiny pieces, and then she stuffed her cushion, and then sewed up the fourth side. So she sealed this fourth side also. So this is the case here. Yeah. The night there was a hue and cry in the house. So there was actually a really angry protest in her house that day, because somebody might be looking for the papers. Father's great speech for the port authority had been lost. So you know what happened that night? Her father, right, he had actually written a speech, and that speech was on a piece of paper. So he was looking for that, and that speech was for the port authority, sorry. So it had been lost, right? So rooms were searched, servants were questioned. Finally, mother came into Kezia's room. Kezia, I suppose you didn't see some papers on a table in our room. Oh, yes, she said. I tore them up for my surprise. What? Screamed mother. Come straight down to the dining room this instant. Now, this reveals the suspense. Over here, Kezia actually used the papers on which the port authority speech was actually written. Her father's speech was written, so she actually tore them up, right? So what happened was that her mother searched everywhere, and then the servants were also questioned, right, in the house. But then after nothing was found, so the mother came into Kezia's room, and then she asked her that did she see some papers on a table in their room. So she said yes, and then I told them up for a surprise, and then the mother screamed what, and then she told Kezia to come downstairs to the dining room very instantly, right. So this is the whole scenario which is going on, and she was dragged down to where father was pacing to and fro, hands behind his back. Well, he said sharply. Mother explained. He stopped and stared at the child. Did you do that? No, 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 she whispered. Mother, go up to her room and fetch down the damn thing. See that the child's put to bed instantly. Okay, so this instant, sorry. Okay, so what happened was, her father actually, he was really stressed. Oh my god, stressed out, right? So he was actually moving here and there to and fro, right? So what happened was his hands were behind his back, and then when Kezia came downstairs, so he asked Kezia, her father asked Kezia, well, and then the mother explained the whole scenario, and then he stopped and stared at the child. He gave Kezia a very cold stare, right, and then he asked, did you do that? And then Kezia whispered, no, 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 she didn't do that. Well, obviously she is scared, so yeah. And then mother, she went to her room, and then she went to fetch down those things, like the damn thing which was there, the paper, right, obviously. And then see that the child's put to bed this instant. So she was actually put to bed, right, instantly. So Kezia was really scared, so she was actually put to bed. Crying too much to explain, she lay in the shadowed room watching this. The 1 second. Crying too much to explain, she lay into the shadowed room, watching in the evening light make a sad little pattern on the floor. Okay, so what happened was that basically Kezia was really terrified, right? So she was weeping and crying, right? But then she was also laying in her room, and then the evening light, right, made her really sad, and then she was looking at the little patterns on the floor. Then father came into her room with a ruler in his hand. So he, thundered into her room, and then he came with a ruler, scale in his hands, right? I'm going to beat you for this, he said. Oh, no, 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 she screamed, hiding under the bedclothes. So obviously her father will punish her. So he said that I'm going to punish you for this, and I'm going to hit you with this ruler. And obviously she's just a child, so she screamed, no, 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 please don't do this. And then she was hiding under the bedclothes. Okay, let's continue. He pulled them aside. Sit up, he ordered, and hold out your hands. So he demanded that, just sit up and then hold out your hand so that I can hit you. You must be taught once and for all not to touch what does not belong to you. So obviously he's going to punish her for whatever she did. So, but it was for your birthday. Down came the ruler on the little pink palms. Okay, so basically, her father ordered her to hold out her hands, and so that he could hit her, right? And then he also told that you must be taught a lesson that you should not touch the things that do not belong to you. But then she said that she was obviously a child, so she was trying to explain it to her, but to him, but she said that it was for his birthday. And then obviously he didn't listen, so he hit her with the ruler, and then the ruler came down on her little pink palms. They were really soft, and obviously she's just a child, so obviously, yeah, so it obviously hurt her. Hours later, when grandmother had wrapped her into a in a shawl and rocked her in the rocking chair. The child clung to her soft body. So when her mother, hours had been passed, and then her grandmother came into the room and then wrapped Kezia in her little shawl, and then she was rocking her on a rocking chair, and then the child's body was really soft and she clung to her grandmother. "What did God make fathers for?" she sobbed. She asked her grandmother sobbingly, and she asked her, why did God make fathers for? "Here's a clean hanky, darling. Blow your nose. Go to sleep, pet. You'll forget about you'll forget all about it in the morning. I tried to explain to father, but he was too upset to listen tonight." So over here she asked this question, and then over here um, the grandmother gave the little child Kezia a little good old handkerchief to actually, blow her nose, and then she told her to go to bed, and then when she'll wake up in the morning she'll forget about it. But then Kezia told her grandmother that she tried to explain to her father, but he was really upset and didn't want to listen to her tonight. But the child never forgot. Next time she saw him, she quickly put both of her hands behind her back, and a red color flew into her cheeks. So whenever forgot, she never forgot about this incident, right? And then whenever she saw her father, she would actually put her hands behind her back, so that he wouldn't hit her again. And then on her face you could see that her cheeks were actually really red. So let's see what happens. The McDonald's lived next door over here. The McDonald's which are there, they lived next door. They had 5 children. So over here they were their neighbors, and then they had 5 children. Looking through a gap in the fence, the little girl saw them playing tag. So there was this little fence, right? And in the fence, so there was this little gap. So from that gap she saw, the children, they were playing tag in the evening, right? The father with his baby Mao on his shoulders. So over here the father is there, and then the baby is on his shoulders, and then all of them were actually playing tag. The 2 little girls were actually hanging on his coat pockets and ran around round like the flower beds. Over here their father's there, and then they were actually hanging on the coat pockets of the sides, and then they were running around the flower beds and having really much fun, right? They were having a lot of fun, and they were shaking with laughter. So once she saw the boys turn the hose on him, and he tried to catch them laughing all the time. So when their father tried to catch them, right, with the hose, so they were all laughing and they enjoyed the whole scenario. Then it was then she was then it was she decided there were different sorts of fathers. So she got to a thinking, there are different types of father. Suddenly one day mother became ill. So one day what happened was that her Kezia's mother became ill, and her grandmother went to the hospital. So she took her to the hospital. The little girl was actually alone in the house and with Alice. So Alice over here is the cook. Okay, she's the chef. So over here she was left alone with Alice. That was all right in the daytime. So it was all right. It was all going in the daytime. But then when it's night, obviously Alice also has to go home, right? And this is the scenario where the children are playing with their father, the 5 kids, and then Casey is looking through the little fence. Over here, it's the McDonald's family playing tag in the evening. But while Alice was putting her to bed, she grew suddenly afraid. So what happened was Alice was actually putting Kezia to bed, and then she was like really afraid, right? What will I do if I have a nightmare? So Kezia asked Alice that if I have a nightmare, what will I do? I often have nightmares, and Granny takes me into her bed. I cannot stay in the dark. It gets all whispery. So over here, if she has a very bad nightmare, what will she do? If her granny is aside, she'll take her into her bed and sleep with her, right? But Kezia is like, I can't stay in the dark. It gets all whispery around here, right? So Alice said, "You just go to sleep, child," said Alice, pulling off her socks, "and don't you scream and wake your poor pa." So she's like, Alice. Alice said to Kezia that just go to sleep and don't you dare scream and wake up your dear father, because he has been working a lot, and let him sleep for peace for once. And then she also pulled off her socks. Let's just see how much was left. Okay. But the same old nightmare came, the butcher with a knife and a rope. So what happened was that the same old nightmare which Kezia had, it came again, and then the butcher with a knife and a rope. So this was her nightmare, who came nearer and nearer. So it was who came nearer and nearer with to Kezia, and then he had a very dreadful smile. So while she could not move, could only stand still, crying out, "Grandma, Grandma." So over here, what happened was she was having a nightmare. So obviously, she screamed out to her grandma. So she screamed at her. She woke up shivering to see her father beside her bed, a candle in his hand. "What's the matter?" he said. So she was really shivering, and then when she woke up, she saw that her father was near her bedside with a candle in his hand, and then he asked her, "What's the matter?" Right? So, "Oh, a butcher, a knife, I want Granny." Now you'll ask, what is butcher? So basically, butcher is a person who cuts meat and stuff like that. Okay. So here, a butcher with a knife, right? "I want Granny." So she's told. He blew out the candle, bent down, and caught up the child in his arms. So the father, he bent down and then caught up Kezia in his arms, carrying her along the passage into the big bedroom. So he carried her to the big bedroom, right? A newspaper was on the bed. He put away the paper, then carefully tucked up the child. He laid down beside her, half asleep, still, and with the butcher's smile all about her, it seemed. She crept close to him, snuggled her head under his arm, held tightly onto his shirt. So what happened was that over here, the father brought Kezia to his room, and then he also put the newspaper aside which was laying on his bed, and then he tucked the little child, and then he also lay beside her, and then over here the father was half asleep, and then also Kezia was half asleep, right? So what happened was she still had that butcher smile all in her head, right? So she actually snuggled with him, and then she crept close to her father, and then she also held his shirt very tightly. Let's continue. Then the dark did not matter. She lay still. So over here, after she was really comfortable with her father, she lay still, and then the dark wouldn't be really fearing for her. "Here, rub your feet against my feet, and get them warm," said father. So over here, he told to Kezia that you can rub your feet against mine, and then you'll keep them warm. Tired out, he slept before the little girl. So he was really tired, so he slept before the little girl. A funny feeling came over her. So there was really a funny feeling which was there. Poor father, not so big after all. So she said that he's actually not a big giant. Uh, and with no one to look after him, so there's no one to look after him, right? He was harder than grandmother, so he was actually harder than grandmother. But then this was actually kind of a nice hardness which was there, right? And every day he had to work, and was too tired to be Mr. McDonald. So actually he had to go to work every single day, and he had to go to office every single day. So he was really tired, and always he would come home from work, and then he would be really tired, right? So anyways, he was really tired to become Mr. McDonald, right? To play with her every single day. She had torn up all his beautiful writing. She stirred suddenly and sighed. She stirred actually suddenly and sighed. "What's the matter?" asked her father. "Another dream." So asked she, what happened was when she stirred, her father woke up and then he asked her, "What's the matter? Another dream, right?" She said, "Oh," said the little girl, "my head's on your heart." So over here she's telling my head is on your heart. I can hear it going. So she can hear the heartbeats, right? "What a big heart you have got, father dear." So she told that to her father. So over here the feeling of fear went to understanding for the little girl Kezia to her father, right? And this whole story is written by Catherine Mansfield. So what a great story, and everyone can actually relate to this. So I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, make sure to like this video, subscribe to Twilight Corner, and also please share this video with your friends, right? And yeah, that's all for today's video. Keep watching, and I'll be uploading many videos like this, so stay tuned. Till then, take care and bye bye.